All right, you guys want to talk through our workout for Tuesday. We're going to start with an 11-minute AMRAP. So again, this week, everybody is moving away from our perform, and everyone's going to be doing the Metcons in sweat. This is going to be a deload week for our performance athletes, meaning we're not doing any foundational lifts. We've been doing 3, 5, and 7 rep max testing over the last 3 weeks, so we're going to give a little bit of a break before we get into our 1 and 2 rep max testing for our 5th week moving into the year. So to start this week, again, everybody's going to be going on the same workout schemes and the same pattern of progression. Starting with an 11-minute AMRAP this week, you're going to notice the buy-in is just about half the distance within the workout that you'll see that's coming up for today. But again, just a decent distance for people to start getting the cardiovascular system fired up, having a little fun getting that heart going. From there, we're going to do some goblet squats with a 3-second negative. So again, just loading up the legs. We do have a good amount of air squats coming into our second piece for our sweat workout today. So we're using some of the goblet squat to create some feedback and really build up and get those muscles really primed and prepped. The speeds that we're moving at are in order to get those muscles to fire at different speeds, which gives us a different intensity. It allows us to get a little bit more strength in before we move into the gymnastics in the sweat piece today. So again, just a nice focus of cueing the knees out, making sure the arches are up nice and strong, and we're focused on a 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000 count, establishing good position in the hole, and then popping right up and out. From there, we're going to go into some inchworms with a hand release push-up. So you'll do 1 full inchworm with the full walk up, going into your nice pike position with the stretch behind the hamstrings. And then as you come back, you're going to give me full all the way to the floor hand release push-ups. So your inchworm will come first, walking all the way up, nice big stretch behind the legs, walk it all the way back, establish your high plank, drop all the way down, release those hands, and then a nice strong push out from the bottom. Doing 2 push-ups to 1 inchworm, doing that about 3 times. From there, we're going to move on to some weighted glute bridges. This does not need to be super heavy. This can be isolated, a little bit more focused on just getting the glutes and the hamstrings to start to wake up and fire. So a dumbbell across the waist, a kettlebell, or a plate works just fine. You can do this to a bench if you're more comfortable coaching with the shoulders on a bench. Otherwise, just have people go onto the floor. It's less equipment, and we're still getting things activated the way we want. So shoulders are retracted against the rubber, pushing myself backwards. Weight is on the hips, right on those bones. I'm going to squeeze my glutes as my hips drive up, getting into a nice flat plane from knees to my shoulders, and then control coming back down. If you feel like your athletes are getting exceptionally well or moving well at this movement, have them go to that single leg, glute bridge up, and all the way back down. So now we're just getting more single leg isolation. Really great way to isolate the hamstrings and the glutes, especially where a lot of our athletes tend to be quad and hip dominant. Let's get that posterior chain firing pretty quick, early, and often. Last exercise in your AMRAP is pull-ups, okay? Essentially, this should be a build-up. So assisted pull-ups or using the TRX and rings to start getting the shoulders active in that pulling position. Even going into almost like a half-bent curl to a little pullback to start getting some of the brachialis muscles, starting to get the wrists and the forearms to start to fire a little bit differently before we actually get into any sort of chin-up or pull-up position. If in the second round, once we get into our sweat, you'll see that we're going to be doing some rounds of Cindy, which have pull-ups and push-ups mixed in. Depending on your athletes and their skill level, we can modify that a little bit. So let's talk about that right now. So as I hide away this overlay and bring you my next, you're going to see you get a little 28-minute time cap. Most athletes will come pretty close to this. It's a decent amount of cardiovascular endurance, so there's options there for running, bike, erg, row, or assault bike. Athletes should stick to 1 for the entire workout, not jump from a bike erg to a rower and then a run. Pick 1 and stick to it. I'm going to complete my distance, and then in the first round having 5 rounds of Cindy. As you can see in the description, Cindy is 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 air squats as 1 round. First round, you're going to go through that 5 times. So again, just really focusing on the pull-up position, making sure athletes we're not going through butterflies, okay? We're just not teaching that right now. We're teaching strict pull-ups, okay, which is going to be either done banded or we're going to be doing it with the TRX. Now, if we decide that we're going to be using the rings or the TRX and we're going to be doing rows instead of pull-ups, my recommendation is going to be to flip your push-ups and your pull-up count rep backwards. So that means I'm going to be doing 5 push-ups followed by 10 TRX rows. If I am doing pull-ups, I want them to do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups. So again, just make that adjustment as a coach. Our athletes need a lot of work on body weight exercises and getting better at those repetitions, but we also don't want to overdo the overhead and get those shoulders really firing and messed up. So let's focus on good mechanics as we're teaching that and going through it. You're then going to see a little bit of a descent when it comes to your distances in terms of rowing, calories, whichever one they're choosing, and then you're going to have 3 rounds of Cindy, back to your cardio, and then 1 round of Cindy to finish out. So you can do the math. You're ended up doing 9 rounds of Cindy. Again, it's going to be a 5, 10, 15 rep scheme, repeated consistently, so you can make some adjustments. Our athletes need to get better at these movements, so elevate them to a box for their push-ups. They can drop to their knees for push-ups. If we really want to get fancy and you guys want to add in any sort of adjustments, we can also go with bands coming across where they can put across their hips or chest and midline, and we're giving our athletes the ability to start getting better repetitions or more repetitions at something they might not be so good at. Just know if I'm going to be putting a band across the bottom of the rig, that takes away my ability to potentially be doing pull-ups assisted as well. So choose your battles. What do your athletes need to work on that's most important for them, and make a good decision. If you have any questions here or need any adjustments, feel free to reach out or be smart as a coach. Again, we don't want to overdo the push-ups and pull-ups, but we really need to focus on getting better at moving our own body weight rather than having external forces in order to give us that feedback. Have fun with this workout. Let me know if you have questions. Enjoy.